Assalamualaikum and a very good day to everyone. So my group mates and I will be presenting on topic analyzing and interpreting the data for today. My group mates are myself, NAJWATI Afiqah binti Kamaruzaman, Dina Melinda binti Shamsuddin, Ma Shenze, and Nur Atiqah binti Yunus. Okay, next slide please. Alright, introduction to data analysis in qualitative research. In qualitative research, data analysis is a process. It is not a step-by-step guided prescription. It is because various forms of data are treated collectively, which means the various forms of data are treated simultaneously to give the researcher a holistic understanding. And all those data came from field notes, observation notes, reflections, students' essay, oral or written responses in interview, lesson plans, and even students' responses in test question. Next. All right, three phases in qualitative data analysis. There are three phases in data analysis. The first one is preparing and organizing data, transcription, organization, familiarization. All of this will be explained later. And the second phase is developing theory, codes, categories, themes also will be explained later. There's also grounded theory, which is a research methodology that uses inductive reasoning to construct the theory through methodical gathering and analysis of data. There's also constant comparative technique. The next one is content analysis, which is analyzing document in form of text, media, or physical item. And it is actually usually used to analyze responses from interviewees. And there's also narrative analysis, which is analyzing from various sources, such as interviews from respondents, field observation, and it focuses more on stories and experience that they are shared by people. And the last one would be discourse analysis, which is analyzing interaction with people. It is actually different from narrative analysis because it focuses on the social context itself. For example, like communication between researchers and respondents. And the third and last phase in qualitative data analysis is to interpret and represent the data in form of tables, discussion, and or figures. Next, please. All right, so this is this is the key dimension of qualitative data analysis by Creswell, made in 2005. Like I've mentioned before, the process is simultaneous, so everything happened at the same time, some sort of. It helped the researchers to get a holistic understanding, which means to get a better understanding of the context and of the data. Next, please. All right. Let's go one by one with the phases in qualitative data analysis. The first phase, like I've mentioned before, is preparing and organizing data. Next. All right. The first one in preparing and organizing data is transcription. A transcription uh, is used as a record for collected data. It helped reducing the chance for the researcher to overlook the sections that only look relevant or interesting to them. It also helped the researchers to recall events and give them a holistic view of everything. And last but not least, it gave the researchers a deeper understanding, which equal to unbiased analysis. What I mean by this is that when the researcher understand the context or event better, they help they help the researchers in making the right or unbiased analysis. So that's all from me for now. I'll pass the presentation to the next presenter, Dina.
Okay, so for organization of data, there is the first one is to give each interviewee a pseudonym, um, which is you don't use their real names in your transcription. Just in case if you don't want to be confused, you can keep a record of their real names that corresponds to their pseudonyms. For example, the student 1 and their name, student 2 and their name, so that you don't get confused. Okay, so the second point is to use appropriate labels for each file. For example, the time the recording is taken, the date, the place it is taken, and the source of data that you used. You can use spreadsheet to classify the data, and it is it is important that you do this immediately because you don't want to confuse which data that you recorded at what time, because we tend to forget what we have done when time has passed. Okay, so when we do this, confusion about time, date, place, and source of data should be avoided altogether. The third point is to label data based on unit of analysis, which is whether you analyze the data using a word level, sentence level, or paragraph level. And also, if you are focusing on, if you use focus or random groups. Focus group is there is a certain group that you focus on, that you record with, and there's random groups that maybe it's individual. So you name your audio, which is which one is recorded first, which one is recorded second, so that you don't you avoid mix up. And also write this in your written transcription. And for example, if you choose to interview a pair, so you need to note that so that you know when you need to interpret the data later. And for the familiarization of data, there is three things to note. Familiarization of data is reading and rereading. You read and listen and watch the recordings. You do this multiple times so that you will be familiar with all the forms of data. So you analyze your data by making mental notes while you listen to the recording, and you can jot down important points so that you can make sense what is happening, so that you will have a clearer idea. And when you understand length and breadth of data, when you listen to the recording and you read your transcript, and you will have the overall idea of whether you need to collect more data or if you should interview more variety of people. For example, where most people answer the same thing, or maybe you don't have enough variety, so you will need to do more research, more coding. This is where you know in the process of familiarization of data. For the presentation of the next slide, I will proceed with my friend. My friend will proceed to the next slide. Okay.
Okay, for the second is developing theory, which is code, category, theme, and theory. So next, I'm going to explain what is codes and categories. So coding is an analysis. So in qualitative research, coding is how you define what the data you are analyzing is about. So coding is also involves taking text data or pictures gathered during data collection. It's like a process of identify the passage in the text or other data items, searching and identify the concept. Okay, the next. So why we code, which is minimize data overload and also useful in identifying theme and patterns. So when you do your research, you will get a lot of data. So using the code can help you to minimize that data and identifying the theme. Next. Next slide. Okay, so this is about how are we going to do our coding. This step by step. The step one is reading the transcript. So when you get your and as a whole, label the relevant phrases and sentences for a section. The second step is labeling relevant pieces. The labeling can be about action, activity, process, or whatever you think is relevant. Like your research is focusing on student participate in the classroom. So your label can focus on the student action. Okay, next. Step 3 is decide which code are the most important and create categories by bringing several codes together using using create your categories. Then when you create your categories, the next is you can label the categories and decide which one you can describe the connection between your categories. And also the categories or the will be the main result of your research. Okay, next. Then we can go to the last step, which is write up your result. When you get your categories, your label, you can describe the categories and how their connection. Also, the last is you can write out your interpretation and you discuss about your result. Okay, next.
Okay, I'm Atiqah. I will be presenting theme. Can you guys hear me? Hello? Can you guys hear my voice?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay.
Yes.
For the first thing first. Okay. Okay. Theme. Okay. Theme is subcategories in analyzing qualitative data. It is usually applied to a set of text, for example, interview transcription. Okay, theme get identified by sorting the examples, topics, ideas, and pattern that are repeatedly occurred in the data that have been collected earlier. So we can extract theme from data collected using flexible method, which means any method we can use to extract theme from the data that we have collected. And also, it is relies on the researcher's judgment on how the researcher want the theme to based on their interpretation. Okay. Next slide, please. Okay, to make it more understandable, here is some illustration to make it simpler. Okay, I could say that while we analyzing data and we want to build theme from it, we can use from specific to general. Okay, for example, in this illustration, we start with code. Uh, in here, we can use it as to make it simpler. We can use it as example. Okay, the example here is like uniform, no schools, books, like school office, and etc. So from the example, we move on to the basic theme, which to make it simpler, or in my opinion, mm, basic theme can be like points. Okay, from the example, we move up to points. The point here is working street children, black schools material. It is based on the example that been shown earlier. Okay. And then after basic team, we organize the team, uh, whe- whether it is relate to the point or not. Okay, from we organizing team until we have a very suitable team that based on the data that have been collected, for example, in interview transcription, and also data that has been repeatedly occur in data analysis. Okay, for the global team or team, uh, struggles of working street children. So the team for that data is that struggle of working street children. Okay, that's for team. Next, please. Okay, we move on to theory. Okay, theory enables action researcher participant to clarify and describe the dynamics of the issue that are the focus of the research, and also enables action research participant to strengthen their processes of inquiry. So theory is like you enhance your study more. Okay, so for theory, the researcher alone do the theorizing. For example, like if you do the action research or research with your friend or with your partner, so you and your partner do the theorizing. So you didn't ask other for help. For example, like uh, somebody to help you with theorizing. Okay. Uh, Also, theory is built progressively as the study proceeds. It means that while you building up theory, while you develop theory, it start from the beginning of your research on. You must have the gist of the ideas that you want as long as you build on your theory. And also, theory is based on several categories which sum up to core categories. And for core categories, leads to theory that we want to develop later on. Okay, also, if I'm not mistaken, Dr. Charanjit also said that we as practitioner do not develop theory in our level. For example, like me myself, I'm doing degree right now. I'm not develop any theory, and probably we will be doing theory during masters or during PhD. Okay, all right. Next, please. To make it more understand, here the figure, I shown you a figure. Okay, the first circle, the upper circle, data set 1 means like first category, and then data set 2 represent second category. Okay, based on data set 1 and data set 2, it's overlap. Okay, the overlap here we can probably say that it is the core categories. From the core categories, we come out to decision whether it is achieve agreement or disagreement. If it's agreement, we seek for exception, and if it's lean towards disagreement, we have to seek for explanation so that we have a better understanding, and for that we can do a better action which while developing the theory. Okay, next. Next, please. Okay, there's these two quotes that I found in my study. Okay, Glaser argues that theorizing is the role of the researcher. It should only be done by people who can conceptualize. Conceptualize here means like expertise in that area, or people who are always associated with theory developing, theory construct theory, for example, like that. For some reason, I do agree with that opinion because uh,
if you want to develop a theory, it takes longer time. It takes like several, it took more studies, and it took longer time than you propose or you might think, because theory is something that is evolving and something that has to be supported with these studies, um, so much studies, so that it could be relevant. However, a more accessible and less demanding approach to theory development might be a useful addition to action research processes. It means that we could develop theory as long as it is accessible and less demanding approach, because it could be useful to our action research process. So I think that's all from me. I pass to my friend.
Okay, so now that we have know how to prepare and organize the data and we have developed the theory, let's go to the third and last phase of qualitative data analysis, which is interpreting and representing data in form of tables, discussion, and or figures. Okay, next slide. Alright, the examples of qualitative data analysis can be found in discussion form, tables, or figures, like I have mentioned just now. So in discussion form, usually it's in form of essay, where the researcher point out what he or she thinks is interesting based on what they have found in the theory. As for tables, can we go to the next slide, please? Alright, this is the example of data analysis in table form. As we can see, there's interview item constructs, which is the general theme, and then they divide it into categories, which include the examples. This is for the table form, data analysis in table form. Next. And the last one would be in figures. It's a bit more complicated than table forms. It have, like usual, it have everything from general to more specific. And I guess that is everything for analyzing and interpreting the data analysis for our group mates from our groups. That's all from us. Thank you. If you have any question, please reach us by WhatsApp or email. That's all from us. Thank you again for listening. Have a good day.